criminal government. It's run by cocaine and heroin dealers, literally. They launder the money to the banks. They made the decision, arrogantly, to issue unlimited liquidity to themselves and everybody else, and to buy up all the infrastructure. They've leveraged the world thousands of times. That is, there's thousands of times of fiat money compared to real assets. And they wrote IMF, World Bank documents, White House memos about how they had to set up a police state. This happened decades ago, so that when the people found out, we couldn't punish them for their criminal actions, because we are going to be left holding the financial bag. The OECD and others, the big global management groups, are saying that we are going to have to pay 87% taxes just to pay off the debt on this, so they can then own all the real assets. But as Bob Chapman was saying, top expert on the stock market, the commodities, you name it, the internationalforecaster.com. I went through his bio. It would take hours, but you can go read it if you want. And we're honored to have guests of his caliber and people like the father of Reaganomics, former head of the Treasury, Paul Craig Roberts, and others. They're all saying the same thing. We are cooked unless we raise interest rates and do some other things. What could lessen the crash landing, Bob Chapman? And I want to go back into what we're seeing happen right now.
Well, I think probably a slow upward movement in interest rates, and that wouldn't have to come from the Federal Reserve. It could come by the market itself. And it really is underway. It's already started.
Well, that's what Europe's doing, right?
Right, and I think that you're going to see more of this in the real marketplace, and sooner or later, the Fed will have to raise rates, but it's not going to be anytime soon. They sent out that false signal, a couple of months ago, in order to keep the stock market up. But I kind of think that except for expeditionary moves into the market, I think they've come to terms with the fact that the stock market's going down and they can't do an awful lot to stop it. And I think they're at the same crossroads with gold and silver. And so this is all part of a crumbling process. This whole thing is coming unglued. They just like Fortis, the banking group in Europe, said, the 6,000 banks, how many are going under? And I had projected 300 in the next couple of years, but maybe it's super conservative. I mean, we won't know until we get there, but it's not going to be good. And, of course, we just had IndyMac go down. It should have gone down 8 months ago. They were keeping alive on whole blood or something, and so that's gone now. And hopefully people didn't have more than $100,000 in their accounts, because otherwise they'd be stuck. But we are just continuing to evolve in a system that is continuing to be floated by the amount of money and credit that the Fed can feed into the system to offset the deflation of the falling value of real assets.
Okay, let's walk through that, because remember, Bob, to us, this is just like breathing, but to the general public, they're never allowed to hear this. We have people listening all over the place in Kansas City and San Diego and Austin, Texas, and Niagara Falls and Tampa, Florida, and all over the place. And they're saying, what is devaluing assets? I mean, they literally, all they've been told is lies and disinformation, as you know, and false, economic models by design, to where they can't recognize what we're saying. For those that don't know, the only thing that would save the dollar would be raising interest rates, and the dollar has dropped again. Oil has risen with that. Can you speak to what that means and what more failing banks and more Federal Reserve bailouts mean? That is, private banks get bailed out with our tax money.
And the brokerage business and the investment business and the insurance business and eventually the corporate business, because that's what happens in a corporatist fascist state, and that's what we've got. But the Fed's in a box. If they raise interest rates, the economy collapses. So they really can't do anything.